Live, waiting. It says live, but then waiting. So you got to wait a second. Okay. All right. So I am here today. And yesterday I was on live and I had my other pair of earrings. And now I have the pink and purple and white ones. And I just love them. I'm so freaking obsessed. And this was two different pairs of earrings that I bought on Amazon. And then I put them together and changed the way that they were hanging to be more my style. But anyway, I wanted to, I actually posted about this before a while ago, and I said I have the most amazing story on how everything is working out for me all the time. And everything today just became official, like official, official. And so I now want to share this story with everybody. So two things that we needed in our life with the new baby. One, we needed a home. So we are in a temporary rental that is great for temporary, but it is not a place that that I would feel comfortable in raising my baby. There's just not enough storage. It used to be a daycare, and it's been converted into a house, and it's great to save money on rent, but it's just not a place that I would want to be to raise my baby. And there's not a lot of options because we live, in the middle of nowhere. And if any place that has houses mean we'd have to move in town, and we like being out in the country. And and we don't want to live in a bigger town. We like where we're at. So we didn't know what we were going to do in terms of where we were living. Now, of course, if you've been following my page, you know that we are now renovating our house. So what had happened was, in the midst of us trying to figure out where we were going to go after the baby, David had a house that some tenants were in, and they actually had a contract to be in there for a few years and to even buy it. So going into that house was not an option. It wasn't even on the table. And right when we were like, we really, really got to figure out, like, what are we doing with a house? And honestly, I didn't try to figure it out. What I had did was trust the universe. And I just imagined myself living in a beautiful home, raising my baby, and I would picture myself, sitting in the sun, and I would just trust and believe that a house is coming, a house is coming, a house is coming. It's all going to work out. It's all going to work out. And I wasn't searching. I wasn't trying to figure things out. I was just going to allow things to come as they come, trusting and believing that my desires are allowed to happen, that they want to happen, that's why they're my desires, and that the universe would come in and support it. And then the tenants decided to move out, and we got our house, and we're in the process of renovating it, making it absolutely beautiful. And so that was one of the big, big things about, having the baby. And it all just came together so beautifully. We had no idea the tenants would be moving out like that. And it was such a blessing when we got the news when we did. And it's so cool that we now get to make the renovations and get to make that house beautiful and awesome for us to live in. The other thing that we needed was a house to have the baby. So I want to do a home birth. And again, and Illinois was not the place for us to do that. There's not a lot of options out here for midwives. And I do also would like to be near a hospital. And where we live at, there is a hospital nearby, but it's actually known for being dirty. And I wouldn't want to have my baby there. So we needed a house to have a home birth, and I decided that Michigan would be a great place. One, I spend all summer in Michigan anyway. I want to be near my mom with the baby. My sister is going to be up there for the summer, and my mom already knew an amazing doula out there who knew an amazing midwife. And so it just felt like Michigan would be the place to have a baby, which meant we would need a house. So when I went searching, because we would need a house for about 3 months so that we can come up there a little bit before the baby, be there during the birth, and then after the birth, and not have to rush to leave the house. And it was a little scary because, I go into Airbnb, and the town that my mom lives in is a summer touristy home, like a summer touristy town. So there are rentals for the summer, but they are very expensive. But beyond that, and we're willing to pay, like, okay, we make a good amount of money, and we can, buy what we need. Um, but not even on Airbnb, despite the cost, there was not one place that was available for the entire time that we needed to be there. it would split up our stay between two different places, which wasn't going to be productive. And then if there was any place that was open for a longer time, it wasn't as close to in town as we wanted it to be so that we can be near the hospital. So I had posted on a Facebook page group in her town that we were looking for a place to rent, that we can pay a pretty decent size of money for rent. I had actually put that we would pay $5,000 a month for rent because I didn't know if we would kind of be kicking someone out. Like if someone was willing to say, "Hey, you can take our house. We got all the furniture. We got everything you need. We'll go down to somewhere else for the summer. You take our house for the summer." I knew that it would have to be a high enough amount of money that someone would be enticed to do that. So even though 5,000 was definitely a big sum, I was like, I can figure it out. We can make the money. Like we'll make this happen. I ended up getting in contact with somebody who seemingly had everything was perfect. They had a 3-bedroom house. It was a guy who was getting a job in Arizona, and he didn't necessarily want to sell his house. He wasn't sure what he wanted to do. And so he was willing to rent it out to me while he went to Arizona to start his job. So we had been talking for a while. They sent pictures, like everything was good. And also another reason why I was willing to pay so much and to have this house in Michigan was because, again, we didn't, like, I wanted to be somewhere for a little while with the baby that wasn't this place. And then once we got our house, we found out about getting the house here locally first, and we knew immediately that we would have to spend money renovating the house and making some repairs to the house. It was from the 1970s. It's an older house, and in order to make it happy and safe for the baby and myself and David, the family, we needed to make some updates. So then it became, well, our money, we don't necessarily want to spend a ton of money on a rental house. We want to be able to put that money into our house. And I was more willing to spend more money when we didn't have a place. But once we knew that we had a place and that it would, we're almost to $40,000 to $50,000 on the renovation at this point with all the things that we have to do. So then it became important that we kept as much cash as we could. So with talking with this guy, before, he sent over the lease and everything, we said, I know I had originally posted $5,000 for the house, but our circumstances have changed. Are you comfortable with 2,000? Now this is still almost triple the typical price for rent in that town. And he said, yeah, you know what? That's actually a really large amount. Regardless, he's like, it's certainly not as much as you had said in the first time, but I can do that. That's not a problem. I totally understand. And it is significantly higher than that area for a typical rental. So I was actually on my way up to Michigan to go. Well, David was going to be going to Germany, and I wanted to go hang out with my mom. She had had surgery. And then I also just needed to get a bunch of work done, and I wanted to secure leasing this place. So the day that I was driving up to Michigan, and the very next day I was actually scheduled to go pay him a deposit to secure the house for the summer, he messaged and said, "Hey, sorry, I'm actually going to get my house ready for 12, a long-term lease, and so my house is no longer available to you to rent." And that normally would have been a moment for me where I would freak out, where I would be like, oh my God, we had something. It went away. Now we don't have it. Now we have to find something else. It took so long to find the first thing. And that would have been my normal thought process. But because I have done so much work, not only on my mindset, but also on understanding our powers and abilities to manifest what it is that we want, and knowing that we trust fully and explicitly in the universe to take care of us, that the biggest feeling I felt after he gave me the news was that something better is even coming. Something better is going to show up. And that was just, it was the most peaceful I had felt after hearing, news like that, like ever in my whole life. I had felt so much peace in this moment that something better is coming, something better is on the way. And I just put all my trust into that, and I didn't freak out. I didn't worry. I didn't immediately jump on my computer to see if there was another place for rent or what could we do. I didn't stress. I didn't overwhelm. I didn't have worry. I didn't have anxiety. None of that was existing in my body when he gave us the news. So I get to my mom's house, and I do, look up, not frantically, but I was like, okay, well then I need to put some feelers out. I need to see what else we can do. So I made a phone call to a property management company, left my name, left my voicemail, and then a friend of mine who is a real estate agent, she had been talking to me about this, and she knew that we were looking for a house. So she began actually searching for me. And I thought that was the most wonderful thing in the world. And she was, she was doing a bunch of the legwork that I didn't have to do. So she was in completely gifting this to me to look into, what were our options and things like that. So while I'm at my mom's, one day my stepdad gets a phone call from his friend that they every once in a while they get together and they hang out. And my mom goes, wait a minute, isn't that Mike who owns a bunch of houses that he rents out? She's like, make sure that these two get together and that they talk. So Mike came over, and I sat down with him. So I told him what we need. I said, we need a house to rent. It needs to be furnished because, we can't just move into an empty house. We want it so that we can have our baby. We want to be near the hospital just in case. And, we need that. That's what we need. And he was like, sure, no problem. I have a house for you. It's 5 minutes from the hospital. It's furnished. It's got everything you need. And it'd be $1,200 a month. $1,200 a month when I was originally on the line for $5,000 and then $2,000. And then now it is $1,200 fully furnished house. And my mom just got the keys today. The lease is actually for, we got the lease started right now so that we can head up there when we need to. And how much something better that is. Not only are we helping a friend, because he's actually working on turning his rental properties into sobriety houses, which is why they're all furnished and ready to go. Before he can get those up and running, he needs to get his program in place. So his houses are actually sitting empty, and he's not able to rent them to anybody as he's preparing for his sobriety. But knowing that I'm a temporary renter, I'm a friend of the family, he's able to rent it to me knowing that I'm only going to be there for a few months. So I'm not only getting help on my end, it is helping himself out as well. So that is freaking amazing. And like I said, we could have paid the $5,000 for the house in Michigan, but then it became important for us to save everything that we could towards the renovation of now that we knew we had a home here. And so the universe took away the opportunity to rent that bigger house. Not bigger, but more expensive house. Actually, the house we're in now is more bedrooms. But the universe was like, okay, so she no longer wants this, expensive house. Let's give her a more affordable option so that she can save her money for the renovations. So something better came in. And it just, it again, like shows me when we trust, when we believe, when we allow our desires to be what they are, and we don't have the fear, and we don't have the worry, and we don't have the overwhelm. And honestly, those things may come in, but shift your thoughts away from them. You don't have to give airtime to the worry. You don't have to give airtime to the doubt. You don't have to give in to these things that make you afraid. The thing about fear is not it's a weird thing, but fear is not the thought that you have. Fear is actually a feeling that is telling you the thought that you have is out of alignment with what your soul knows to be true. So whatever thought you're thinking that makes you afraid, it's not making you afraid because of the thought is true and that it could happen. What's making you afraid is that your inner being knows that that thought is completely out of alignment with truth and what's actually real and what's actually going to happen. So when we can realize that fear is signaling to us, oh, you are thinking a thought that you don't need to think. You are thinking a thought that is out of alignment with the truth of what your life actually is, then it's a lot easier to let that thought go. So many of us will take that thought and obsess on that thought. Oh my God, we don't have a house. Oh my God, where are we going to have the baby? Oh my God, this is so stressful. What are we going to do? There's no houses up in this area. They're all so expensive. I'm not going to be able to have a baby there. I'm going to have to figure out somewhere else to have my baby. I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to stay home and go to the dirty hospital. Like, that is giving airtime to the worry and the fear and the doubt, and that is what's going to pull you away from actually getting what it is you want, because getting what you want is yours. I want it, I've got it. Not Ariana Grande, I got it, I want it, I got it. Like, that's how we need to be with understanding manifestation and our desires. Some people call me, a manifestation goddess, because I just get all the things that it is that I want in my life. But the thing is we're all manifesting all the time. The problem is that what the universe wants to give you what you want. But the thing is like, what you want to the universe, the way that the universe receives what does Melissa want is based on what is Melissa constantly thinking. That is what the universe gives us. So it thinks that if we're thinking about it, that if we keep rolling it around in our head over and over, that is what we want. So when you, like, for instance, want a relationship, but you keep thinking, no one likes me, no one loves me, relationships are hard, I don't have enough money to go out on dates, and all these things. You keep thinking those things, the universe is going to give you circumstances and situations that will make those things true. So it really comes down to the power of, what are you thinking? If you keep thinking worry, 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 the universe will give you more worry. It will give you more opportunities to worry. You have to change what the thought process is in your head and literally reprogram it and make a new thought. I have spent hours of my life repeating something to myself to get myself from stop worrying to trusting. So something bad will happen and thoughts will come in, and bad is relative. I don't really think anything is bad. I just think it's redirecting us to what we do and don't want. But something like that will happen, like the house that I thought we had was taken away. And instead of going, oh my gosh, we lost the house, now we don't have a house, now we got to do this, now we got to do that, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We made all these plans. I paid the midwife already. Like, now are we not going to have the midwife? Are we going to have the baby somewhere else? If I allowed those thoughts to think, to keep going, then the universe would continue to give me more reasons to have those thoughts. Because again, the universe gives us, not okay, a better way of saying it, the universe gives us what we keep thinking about. The universe gives us what we keep thinking about. And most of us think about the opposite of what we want, the worry side of what we want. We don't think, I want an amazing 6-figure business. We think, how will I ever do that? And I have such low pay, and my job sucks. And how could I ever come up with a business idea? And no one will ever want to buy my stuff. Yeah, you want a 6-figure business, but you keep thinking about how it's not going to work, how it's not successful, how people won't buy your stuff, whatever it is. So you have to make a shift to say, I want a 6-figure business. Imagine that 6-figure business growing. Imagine the customers coming, thinking about how it's going to be so amazing to make these sales, thinking about how amazing it is that the money's going to be coming in. You need to do a flip on what it is that you're thinking. And then the other thing too is, I'm in the process of manifesting this money for the renovation. So we have to have so much money available for this renovation. We have a $10,000 appointment happening next Monday. And because of all the repairs we've already made, and because of our regular bills, and because we got to rent a house in Michigan, I don't have $10,000 just sitting in the bank account. But I know that it'll be there by the time the appointment shows up, because that's how it works. My sister explained it so beautifully the other day. She was talking about her little baby boy. So she has a newborn herself. It's so wild. We're on this journey together. And he wakes up and he's like, he wants to eat, but she's got to change his diaper and get some things ready before she eventually is able to, feed him. And the whole time she's comforting him. Hey, baby, it's okay. Mommy's here. I'm going to feed you. It's going to be all right. Just give me a minute. But he's just fussing louder and louder and louder. And then by the time she's able to feed him, he's so fussy that it's a struggle for him to be able to start feeding. And she's like, this is how the universe works with us. is we need something, we desire something, we want something, and then while the universe is prepping everything to get in place and making the alignment in the 3D world, while the universe is getting it all ready, we're sitting there crying and crying and crying and crying. By the time it shows up, we're in such a fit and in such a fuss that we can't even see what's possible and what's available to us. We need to trust. We need to have epic levels of trust in what is possible. I had epic levels of trust. And in fact, David and I actually got into a fight because when the Michigan house fell through, he had called and he said, "How many places did you call today? How many things did you look up today?" And I said, "Honestly, I didn't spend any time on it. I phone called the property management company, and my friend knew that I was looking for places, and that's it. I didn't put any effort towards it today." And he's like, "What are you thinking?" He's like, "We need that house. If we don't get a house up there, he was giving into the thoughts and the worries and the fears and the doubts. And I was like, because he said, "You don't even care about this." And I'm like, I don't care about where we're going to have the baby. Like, all I care about is where we're going to have the baby. I was like, that is my number one, like, thinking about the birth. Like, I'm about to go through this huge, epic, painful experience. And that is my, like, number one concern at this point. And you are saying it's not. And so we actually had a little bit of a moment there. And he apologized. Obviously we made up and everything was fine. But that was my epic levels of trust. Epic levels of trust, knowing that it was going to work out and that I didn't need to freak out. I didn't need to frantic. I didn't need to stress at all. And that's the kind of trust that I have in for manifesting this, the money needed for the renovation. Is I just trust that it's going to show up. I do my things I need to do, right? I'm running my business. I'm taking action. I get a lot of inspired ideas about how to bring, more money in. And then I take action on those things. I keep doing the things that, have consistently worked in the business. And I'm not freaking out. I'm not like, oh my God, how are we going to get $10,000 in there? Oh my God, then we need this much more money. And then we need this much more money. And then the appointment for the roof. And then the appointment for that. None of that is going to serve me. What's going to serve me is just the epic levels of trust, knowing that the universe will come in, that my desires get to be exported, my desires get to be had, and that money expands to support my desires. So that's another thing that we really struggle with, is we often will prevent ourselves from desiring things until we see the money. So it's like, I can't think about that until I have money, and then I can think about that. But the thing is, in order for the money to show up, you've got to think about it. You've got to desire it. So we have the equation backwards. When I have money, then I will. You need to start doing the thing now, or believing in the thing now, booking the appointments now, and then the money shows up. Okay? So it's like it goes along with breastfeeding. The amount of milk that comes in is based on how much the baby is hungry, how much the baby is feeding. So it's the same thing with the universe. If we're not feeding if we're not hungry, if we're not wanting something, then the expansion cannot come in. The manifestation cannot not come in. We have to have a desire and a want in order for it to appear. So if you're limiting your wants and desires based on what you're currently seeing in your bank account, you're only going to keep currently seeing what you're seeing in your bank account. Your desires need to be bigger than your bank account so that your bank account can get as big as what your desires are. And that has worked for me time and time and time again. I'm living proof that everything I've talked about has completely played out in my life, completely and fully within the last couple of years of my life, when I fully embraced the idea that what I think about is what is going to return to me, and that the universe wants to give me all the things that I desire. And when I focus on my desires in a positive way, instead of looking at the negative side, if they don't happen, then this, and if they don't happen, then this, and if they don't happen, then this, I think of when they happen, this, when this, and it's coming, and it's on the way, and it's showing up, and it'll be here, and everything I need will be provided for. Everything that I want will be provided for. Everything that I desire will be provided for. That is where the magic is. That is where the manifestation lies. It's not in the worry of how it's going to happen. It's not in the doubt that it could happen. It's not in the fear. It's in the epic levels of trust and the knowing that it gets to happen no matter what, because it's my desire. That we are conscious creators of our life, and the more conscious we are about that process, the more clear it gets, the more easier it gets. You have to consciously be aware of, what am I thinking? What thought do I keep perpetuating in my head? Because the thought that I keep perpetuating is going to continue to perpetuate itself within my life, right? So I recently had a friend who said, I met this amazing person, and we could have a relationship, and it's so amazing. But then the thoughts that came in is, I can't afford to take her out. I don't have enough money for a relationship, and fear, doubt, and worry came in, and then she disappeared. The universe gave him what he wanted. He wanted to not have to spend money. He wanted to not have to, do certain things, because it made him afraid. And so then the relationship dissipated. There's no more there as an opportunity, right? We have to understand how powerful our minds are. And whatever it is that we are consistently thinking, whatever thoughts we are putting out there, will return to us. So if the thought that I'm putting out is fear, worry, and doubt, I'm going to continue to get back fear, worry, and doubt. But if the thoughts that I put out are epic levels of trust, knowing that I get to have what I want, knowing that everything is working in my favor, knowing that if an opportunity is gone, something better will even show up. If I lose out on something, something better will show up. And that's the same thing with my second marriage. It was mediocre at best after we had been married for a while, but it was at least a relationship. And so many people will keep a relationship just because it's one. It will at least there's somebody who wants to commit to me. So even though it totally sucks and we are not happy, at least I get to say I have a partner. At least I'm not single. And you'll hold on to something that you don't even like, that you're not even enjoying, just for the sake of having it. Where when you can let go of it and have epic levels of trust that something better is even going to show up, something better will happen, then it gets to happen. And that's what's happened in my life over and over and over again. So again, I just wanted to share some stories about how the universe just responds to my desires, how the things that I want come in, how everything is working out in my favor, and how things better than what I even thought get to show up in my life. And that this can be true for you. It is true for you. It's just, what thoughts do you keep thinking? That's what you're going to keep getting back. So we always say think positive. It's not about thinking positive so much as it's, what are you literally, every thought that you put out is putting an order to the universe. Every thought that I think is putting an order to the universe, and that order will be returned to me. And you keep putting out thoughts of, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. I'm not worthy of it. No one's going to buy my stuff. I can't have a successful business. You keep putting in those thoughts, you're going to keep receiving those orders. So what orders would you rather put out instead? Spend more time thinking about the good side of the things you want, not the negative, worry, doubt, overwhelm, and fear of what you want. So I love you all. I'm going to let you go, and have an amazing day. And if you're interested in being more in the mindset of being able to manifest and to receive what you want, let me know. I'm probably going to be releasing some sort of program here soon to, help people shift into the mindset, shift into a life of love, of freedom, of fun, of abundance, rather than living in the fear, the worry, doubt. I did that for years. I was anxiety ridden for years, and I don't have it anymore. It doesn't exist in my life. And it's the changes that I made and how I operate each day. It's the changes I made in my thoughts that have allowed me to go from where I was, hating life, afraid of life, anxious about life, to now absolutely loving life and receiving everything that I want. It just shows up. And it shows up when I need it, how I need it, and I don't need to see evidence of it for it to arrive. And so many of us will rely on evidence before we can begin to trust. You need to trust, and then the evidence shows up. It's really wild. So I love you all. Have an amazing day.